Good morning, everyone. And following on Martin's comments, it's very clear that Canadians have built a really extraordinary foundation for our country over the last 150 years. And we're all here today because we care about how the future of this country will unfold over the next 150 years. But the truth is that the quality of that future will be very heavily influenced by innovation. And the innovation choices we make today will impact not just the future of our children, the quality of the future of our children and grandchildren over the next decades, but it will also impact the contributions Canada will make to the world. So why all this talk about innovation? Well, it fuels human progress. It fuels well-being. It enables our societies to thrive economically and socially. It is humanity's toolbox. In fact, it's humanity's only toolbox to tackle the wicked problems, those kind of problems that none of us can solve on our own. And we do have a few of those on our plate. But why all this talk about innovation in the context of 2017? Well, because innovation is Canada's unfinished business. We know we rely too heavily on our resource industries and traditional manufacturing. We know the world is changing and that we have to boost our knowledge economy. And every leading jurisdiction around the world is focused on exactly this same task. But over the last few years, Canada's performance has been lagging with respect to several innovation indicators. And we're lagging because other people are doing more and because the world of innovation is becoming much more complex. The pace of change continues to accelerate. And the simultaneous rise of India, China, Brazil, and other countries as knowledge economies, and the sheer innovation capacity they are unleashing onto the global stage through new knowledge workers is absolutely staggering. But why do we have to specifically choose innovation as a priority? Aren't we already doing more or less the right things? Well, innovation seldom happens by default, and we are in default mode. Perhaps for understandable reasons. Most of the world's economies are a mess, and we're doing relatively okay. One could be forgiven for thinking that the world as we know it is still intact, and that we don't really have to do anything special with respect to innovation. But it's not. And we have to be very clear that independent of how we choose to use our time or spend our resources, other countries are choosing innovation, aggressively choosing innovation, investing in it, educating their people, starting and growing new businesses, creating new industries. And complacency is dangerous because if you're not careful, somebody else will decide your fate. There's a second reason why we have to pay attention. Innovation is powered by people. Ours are great, but we don't have too many of them. And the ones we have are spread over a vast geography. So our 33 million people can't really go head-to-head with the US's 300 million or China or India's billion plus and expect to have a real game. It's like having one player on the field against a whole team. So we have to innovate smarter, more strategically. We need a plan. We can't function in default mode. So you may ask, well, why is it my problem? Isn't this a problem for government? All those policy and productivity wonks, or specialists, maybe people in white coats? No, it's too important to leave to them. Innovation affects all aspects of our lives, and it involves all of us. And there are no magic bullets, no science or policy shortcuts. Because innovation is nourished in ecosystems, in thriving, vibrant, entrepreneurial, interconnected communities. And we are those communities. The ecosystems have to connect the local assets to what's happening globally and the global opportunities as they emerge. It has to be current and relevant in terms of those global trends, because that's where the world meets, in those global marketplaces. And new technologies, disasters, disruptive market shifts, incredibly mobile talent and money are constantly shifting and shaping and changing that innovation landscape. And there's absolutely no way we can avoid that complexity. That is the opportunity and the curse of our hyper-connected world. There's nowhere to hide. But you could ask, does the world even care about whether Canada is good at innovation? We're only 2% of the world's population. Absolutely. Sometimes I think the world expects more of us than we expect of ourselves. Over the last 150 years, we've made extraordinary contributions to the world's innovation. From the first telephone to breakthrough innovations in radio and television, from vaccines to pablum, to insulin, to heart pacemakers, to cobalt radiation for cancer therapy, from new processes for mining and industry, peacekeeping, the book on early childhood development, Winnie the Pooh, and on and on. Those contributions have improved the lives of millions of people and earned us respect on the global stage. And today, Canada is a country of remarkable opportunity and privilege. We are the most privileged generation of Canadians ever. So the world needs us to do more with what we've been given and what the people before us have created. Over the next 50 years, the really important work of innovation will happen as we come together as global citizens and put those big, intractable problems on the table. Climate change, child poverty, global health, with all their complexity, and ask the question, how are we going to solve this? Solving these challenges will take new coalitions of problem solvers from science, from the arts and culture, from business, from governments, from civil society, from across Canada and beyond. And they will need to come together and coalesce around a shared vision and start to work on how we're going to figure out the solutions to these problems, solutions that are relevant to Canada and solutions that are relevant to the world. It's not going to be easy, but when we look around us, the world really needs this kind of innovation. And I am absolutely convinced that as Canadians, we can make a unique contribution to this effort. Why? Well, we have excellence in most fields, and we have an astonishing pool of talented people. We have a long tradition of building resilient communities in this way, bridging distances, surviving the cold, taking care of each other, welcoming newcomers. We have, when we're at our best, the soft facilitating power on the global stage. Finally, what does choosing innovation mean for 2017? Well, you know, although innovation pretends to be about the economy and productivity and stuff like that, it really goes to the heart of who we are as Canadians in the 21st century. Let's take a mainstream definition of innovation. Invention that creates value, one that's often used in the Harvard Business Review. Well, value for whom? As we head into 2017, we have to ask ourselves, what do we value in our families, in our communities, as a country? Because what we value will align our energies, our talents, our aspirations, and make it possible for us to actually create the future we want. Because we're all innovators. If we care about our children's education, we should be developing new learning platforms for them and for the world. If we like spending time with our parents, we should be developing the best solutions for healthy aging here, knowing that the rest of the world needs those solutions too. And since most of us now live in cities, we should really put our energies into building truly vibrant, productive, creative, effective, smart, tolerant, green cities. What a huge contribution would that be in the quality of life of Canadians and our increasingly urban, hot, crowded planet. Innovation also challenges our courage because it takes time for the consequences, positive or negative, of our innovation choices to be felt. The timelines are much longer than a politician's single term of office or a CEO's career, or even a lifetime. Just over 50 years ago, stem cells were discovered here in Toronto. Today, that discovery is the foundation for revolutionary medical therapies, but the full potential of the field will only unfold over the next 50 to 80 years. So innovation asks us to take the long view, which is a difficult thing. Our world is impatient and has a very short attention span. But it's not just about what we choose to do by 2017 that might have an impact in decades to come. It's also about what we choose not to do by 2017, because we didn't have the courage to make the long-term decisions and chose those easier short-term options. The people who built this country took the long view. We are the beneficiaries. Will we do the same? Will we prioritize innovation? Thank you.
Thank you, Ilse. I can't help but go back a little bit on what you said. You talked about Canada. Does anyone out there really care what we think? Do they really care about how we innovate, what we do going forward? And as I understand it, there's no less than 350,000 Canadians in the valley over there down south. What's your perspective going forward, given that, yeah, obviously a lot of people care what Canadians think and are hiring them by the dozens and compensating them very well with the long view?
Well, Canadians are doing what Canadians do best, is they're making their contributions across the planet. And I think one of the truly unique changes in the global innovation landscape is that it is now a truly global game. And our opportunity, and I think our obligation, is to be contributors to that much more complex fabric of innovation, knowing, as we all find them, that those Canadians, wherever they are, remain ambassadors with a very strong emotional tether to seeing not just Canada do well, but caring about the contributions to the world.
Well, let's hope so. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ilse Treurnicht.